Hey everybody, it is Thursday evening and I have yet to get down into the fish room, but I did want to shoot a quick video of my 20-gallon open-topped office tank. It's actually going to be a before and after video. My regular viewers will know that I recently put a lot of sand and gravel in this tank to bolster the depth of my substrate. I'm trying to get it up to at least about 3 or 4 inches deep. I know that's a little bit deep for a tank like this, but I'm trying an experiment. I want to see if fairly deep, but not officially deep sand bed. You know, you got to get to a certain depth before you can be considered a deep sand bed. And I really don't think this would be considered a deep sand bed, but it is deeper than you would expect to see in a normal aquarium environment. Excuse me. And I'm hoping it's deep enough that I will get a little bit of denitrification from it. I'm not getting my hopes up, but it'll be interesting to find out. So one of the things I want to do tonight, and this is really what all the before and after video part is going to be about, is if you look at the sand and the gravel as best you can see it in the darkness like this, you'll see that it really still hasn't settled in at all. It's still very stratified. You can still see where I poured gravel in, then I poured sand in, then I poured some more gravel in, then I poured some more sand on top of it. And so what I'm going to do tonight is just get in there with my forceps and kind of scrunch around in the gravel. In fact, we can even do a little bit of it here on video and see what I'm talking about. See how the gaps in the sand, the gaps between the gravel had air in them, and now we've got the sand all nice and down. There's another area where you can see gaps. We're going to do this and just sort of work that sand down nice and thorough. I'm going to try to do it without scratching my glass, and we're going to do that throughout the whole tank. So not really a whole lot of point in the before and after, because the back part of the tank's not going to look any different. The only thing that's really going to look different would be the sand up here in the front, and I can actually just show you what that looks like while we're here doing it. So there'll be no need for before and after. So forget about the before and after aspect. This is going to be the video. We're going to actually see me doing this apparently. And this is all I really wanted to do, was just get that sand worked in so we didn't have quite so many gaps and spaces. And I'll probably do this more than once, and again over time with the fish in there moving around. We'll get it much more settled in. So you can already see across the front there's a lot less visible sand and a lot more gravel. And again, over time, the sand is going to settle deeper and deeper, and the gravel is going to rise more and more, and we're going to get sort of a stratifying effect. At least that's my hopes. Those are my goals. And we're going to get sort of sand on the bottom with gravel on top. And of course, the sand will be mixed all through, and the gravel likewise will be mixed all the way through. But the majority of the sand will settle towards the bottom, and the majority of the gravel will settle towards the top. Anyway, that's my goal. So there you go. That was just a quickie. Going to get back to it. Make sure you're subscribed. I will be bringing the fish that I've got in quarantine right now out of quarantine and into this tank. I don't know when I'm going to do it. I don't know how long I really should keep it in quarantine. It doesn't really, I don't know, it doesn't seem like it needs to be in quarantine. I got it from somebody who had it as a pet already, and while I don't know this person, I have no reason to believe that they gave me a sick fish and, weren't telling me about it or anything like that. So this fish really should be just fine going into this tank. The other aspect is, all I've got in this tank is a few guppies and one little clown pleco. So if I were to put the new fish into this tank, it would be, I could almost call this the quarantine tank. Now, I have had some issues in the past with the quarantine tank that had substrate and so on and so forth, and that dirtiness that was able to accumulate because of the gravel and everything did cause me issues. So what's happening now is my bare glass bottom quarantine tank is causing me issues. I hate even seeing fish stuck in little glass boxes of water like that. And even with the small cave I provided for the fish, it's just really stressed out. It does nothing but hide all the time. When I do get a glimpse of it, it's got no color. And I finally yesterday, after several days, saw that it has begun eating again. It was swimming around when I was nowhere near it. I was kind of watching from the other room through the doorway, and I could see it tentatively creeping out of the cave and picking little bits and stuff off the bottom of the tank. But I just don't feel like that's a good, healthy environment. I feel like I'm making it more likely to get stressed out and become ill or something by keeping it in that environment rather than just putting it in what's going to eventually be its home. I'm probably also going to put some floating water sprite in this tank, at least for the time being, as this temple plant here starts to grow up and out of the water. That'll get big and bushy and will provide lots of cover for the fish. It'll provide shade from all that bright lighting. I've got a big old floodlight shining straight down on the tank. So once we get a little more, up and out of the water type growth, once that plant gets a little bit bigger, we will have a little more security in the tank. So in the meantime, I'm going to have a little bit of floating water sprite in there. And I think that will do wonders for helping my new fish feel more at home. I might even add a little more decor because it doesn't really seem like there's any place in here that is big enough for it to really have a good substantial cave. This cave right there is almost in the tank out of nostalgia. That was one of the first pieces of decor I ever bought. It's a faux rock cave, and it looks pretty nice. You wouldn't really even notice that it's a fake cave unless I really point it out, or you're really looking at it, or you're familiar with that particular cave. So many people have that particular piece of decor. It's a popular one, so you might have recognized it as being a plastic cave. So I might pull that out of there. It's one of the few pieces of artificial stuff I have in any of my tanks. I do have the odd artificial thing here and there, but you really got to look hard to find them. But that indeed is one of them. So maybe I'll pull that out. Maybe I'll put a natural cave in there. I'll build a cave out of some rocks or something, and we'll get this tank dressed up a little bit more. But make sure you're subscribed. As I said, we will be getting my new fish coming up into this tank at some point, whether I leave it in quarantine for a while. Now that it's starting to eat, maybe it's starting to de-stress a little bit. Maybe it's getting a little more used to its environment, and maybe it'll be okay just leaving it in there for a couple more weeks. In the meantime, again, I'm thinking maybe a couple more days, and I might be thinking about bringing it up here and putting it in this tank. And this tank, of course, is my 20-gallon open-topped office tank. Don't forget to subscribe. That way you won't miss anything I got coming up. You never know what it's going to be with me. So thanks for watching this one. I'll see you real soon in the next one.